The legend of the infinite sea had been whispered among sailors for centuries, a hidden ocean beyond the edge of the known world, where time unraveled and the very fabric of reality bent to its own whims. Most dismissed it as a mariner's myth, but Captain Miller wasn't most men. He dedicated his life to finding this elusive sea, obsessed with the promise of unimaginable riches and the secret to eternal life. After years of preparation, Miller's fleet set sail, plunging into uncharted waters. His ship, the Obsidian Queen, led the way, its black sails billowing in the harsh winds. Behind him followed a crew of adventurers, each as desperate for glory as he was, though none could match his unyielding drive. They were bound by the thrill of discovery, but also by the dark undertow of greed. Days turned to weeks, and the sky above them grew increasingly strange. The stars shifted, patterns twisting in ways that defied all sense. The compass spun wildly, and the waves became impossibly calm, as though they sailed through a mirror of reality. It was then that the crew began to understand. They had crossed the threshold into the infinite sea. Their first encounter with the ocean's mysteries came in the form of a creature unlike any they had ever imagined. A vast leviathan, its translucent body shimmering like the surface of a pearl, rose silently from the depths. Its massive tendril-like appendages stretched out across the horizon, each one moving with an eerie grace. The sailors froze in awe as the creature's enormous eyes, each the size of a ship, gazed down at them. Captain Miller, ever fearless, ordered his men to hold steady. "We've come too far to turn back now," he shouted over the sudden wind that whipped around them. Yet the Leviathan made no move to attack. Instead, it drifted silently beneath the ships, its presence bending the light and distorting the very air. The crew was mesmerized, their sense of time slipping away as the creature's hypnotic energy washed over them. Days passed, though none could say how many. As they sailed deeper into the infinite sea, the crew's minds began to unravel. Strange dreams plagued their sleep, visions of forgotten worlds, endless seas, and cities sunken beneath time itself. Some men whispered of hearing voices from the depths, while others claimed to see their own reflections speaking to them from the water's surface. Paranoia gripped the fleet. Fights broke out over nothing, and the once loyal crew turned on each other, their greed festering into madness. It was during one of these tense moments that Miller's navigator, Rook, fell to his knees, eyes wide in terror. "We're not alone," he gasped, pointing toward the horizon. Rising from the waters was a massive figure, its body formed from the very sea itself, an ancient god of the deep. Its form was ever-changing, shifting between a titanic humanoid figure and a swirling vortex of water and shadow. The god's voice, if it could be called such, echoed in their minds rather than their ears, a deep rumble that seemed to come from within their very bones. "Turn back, mortals, or be consumed," the god warned. Miller, driven by his insatiable lust for power, refused to heed the warning. "The sea's secrets are mine!" he roared, raising his sword toward the towering figure. What followed was a battle of mythic proportions. The ocean itself rose to fight them, waves crashing with the force of mountains. Miller's fleet fired cannonballs that vanished into the god's watery form, as the creature unleashed storms that ripped ships apart like paper. The Obsidian Queen was tossed through the tempest, Miller at the helm, his eyes blazing with fury. In the end, only Miller's ship remained afloat. With one final act of defiance, he cast a harpoon into the god's heart. A storm of lightning and wind erupted from the creature as it let out a deafening cry. As it dissipated into mist, the waters around them grew still once more. But the victory came at a terrible price. Miller had won control of the sea's secrets, but his men were broken, their minds shattered by the horrors they had witnessed. Only a handful remained, and they looked at Miller with a mix of awe and fear. The infinite sea had given him what he sought, but it had taken their souls in return. As the Obsidian Queen sailed into the endless horizon, Miller stood alone at the helm. The riches of eternity were his, but the world he once knew was lost to him forever.